All right, guys. I've been screwing with this whole like new microphone that I set up, and it's been like 4 hours here now. Um, I'm not an audio expert. Okay, I know right now if you're listening to this, you're like, man, your voice sounds flat. It should be turned up, like all these settings, and I'm not doing it. So fuck it. I'm going live. We're going live. It is what it is. A couple hours ago, I'm filming this on Tuesday. Trump's going to end a civilization tonight. So when this comes out tomorrow, and if you're watching it right now in your time, you know what's happened. I don't know what's happened. It is what it is. I promise that I'll keep this show going either way. It's going to go either way. I don't know what form that's going to be. Maybe the internet won't be a thing that I can just post on anymore. Maybe I'm going to have to go downtown with like an old CRT TV while I'm in the bread line and just play my podcast for people in the square. You know, maybe we'll be on the front line and I'll just be in a trench somewhere and I'll just be doing this podcast with like a stick or something. And then the guys on the front line with me, it's either like shoot me or listen to my podcast. I'll probably have more listeners then, anyways. Doing that, this whole war might be great for the Jeremy Scott program. I don't know. It is what it is. I'm here. I'm here. We're going. This is the way that it is. I guess food prices are going to go up here in New Brunswick now. That's what I've been seeing, all these stories popping up on Facebook that food prices are expected to go up because of this war and this conflict, and like they're saying that, but like the food's already expensive, so it's getting more expensive relative to what it is now. It's not like it wasn't expensive and now it's going to become expensive. It was already expensive. Like it's like if a person goes into their doctor and the doctor's like, you are more fat now. You were already fat. Like the weight that you've gained since the last time that I saw you, what would be enough for like a thin person to then be fat, but you were already fat. Now you're more fat. And that's what our food is now. It's going to be more. And I, I keep thinking back that my dad was really trying to teach me something, because my dad grew up on a farm. They didn't have like, it's not like Yellowstone. They weren't like shooting people and burying them to protect the ranch. They didn't have a lot of money. He had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and they had to like grow food and raise live animals because that's how they got by, and they ate well. And I mean, he's in his 80s now, so I guess there's something to that. He wasn't going and eating McDonald's, but he was always trying to teach me to be cheap. Like when I was a kid, I always wanted to get like a pizza on Friday night, and he would make that a special thing when we would do it, because he was trying to instill that into me. Maybe he had foresight and he knew like things are good right now, Jeremy, but they might not be good later. So you're going to learn how to be poor, because now, people are like stressing out. They're like, I can't afford to go out. I can't afford to go to Mexico. I can't afford to do all these things that normally like a lot of people 100 years ago just never could do anyways. Like the lifestyle that we've become accustomed to maybe isn't going to be the lifestyle that we're just going to have or be assumed to have. So I'm going to try to fall back onto those ways that he taught me about how to be cheap, and I like cooking at home. This time, like when you start cooking things good at home and then you go out to eat, you're like a little bit like, this wasn't good. I'll go into restaurants and they'll have all these awards on the wall saying that they won like burger of the year, and then I'll see the people making the food and I'm like, they weren't on that team anyways, so I'm not getting this award winning food anyways. So you just go home. When you make a good meal at home, that's the award winning meal for your home. So, there's something to be said for that, but that's getting expensive. Now, cooking at home isn't what it was before. It's like I used to love cooking at home because I was like, look at what I just made for $7, versus now I'm like, I just made a really good home cooked meal for about $25. Good for me. It is what it is. I'm trying not to be like critical of people with right now. I know like it's really easy when you don't have to be like critical of those who do, right? Like that's where the whole eat the rich comes from, is like people, they don't do things with their own lives. So then they're like, eat the rich. Yeah. They look at people who have things, like they see, this guy they went to high school was down in Mexico for a week, and they're like sitting there cranking on a wrench in the cold. They hit their knuckles and they're like, ah, damn. ow. And then they open their social media, which you shouldn't even be opening anyways. Just get off that to begin with. But you see that, and then you're like, you should be where I am right now. But they don't think of like, well, maybe they went through something to get that, right? But I don't like to eat the rich, mainly because I've spent time with the poor, and I'll be rich any day. I would choose to be with things and to have things over not any day, right? So I don't want to discount somebody for having things. I'm happy for them. You know, I know as long as they're grateful and they're not like, you know, driving through puddles trying to splash people who don't have things. I mean, you should. All the power to you. I hope you have a nice warm meal and you can go and you can do things. You know. And I'm saying that where I'm talking into like a really expensive microphone that I don't even know how to operate yet. I've had the laptop out on here. Usually the computer's over in the corner. I'd like to pretend I have a producer. I don't have a producer. It's just me here. But the computer's on the desk because I've been trying to tweak this thing so it doesn't sound flat. It's sounding flat anyways. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But don't eat the rich. You know, the rich definitely they don't want to get eaten. You know, they probably don't taste good anyways. A lot of Botox, a lot of plastics. It's not great. I think a natural evolution for people with is this minimalist movement. Like if you go into a wealthy person's home now in the 21st century, it's very minimal. They don't have a lot of things. Keep your mind clear. If you don't have a bunch of clutter, you're able to think. But like wealthy, I remember back in the day when in the 90s and the early 2000s, someone with a lot, their house would be full of all these like fancy things and knickknacks and art and all this BS. Now you go into a person's home and it's just like gray and white. There's nothing there. There's like a flat screen hanging on the wall and a little table, maybe like a little rug thing, and then that's it. There's nothing there, in a fridge, little kitchen thing. Minimalism. Maybe they've evolved to be like, well, when we had a bunch of stuff, people are always breaking in and stealing it, so we're going to be minimal now. You know, they have the TV because who's breaking in to steal a television now? That was the thing when I was a kid. Is like someone would break in your home to steal a television or a DVD player. That's why they'd say after Christmas, don't put this box out with the garbage of this brand new TV, because you're telling all the scum that like, hey, look what I got inside my home right now. You can come get it. Nobody's breaking in to steal a television. You know, they're probably going to break in and steal the refrigerator. You know, the food's expensive. It used to be like, oh, we got to keep the TV safe. Nobody's risking their life for a television now, but they'll break in and steal your fridge. So now you're going to have to like bolt the television down, put a padlock on it, a combination. Basically, the fridge is going to become like the new safe in the home. Like you're going to have your food in there and your money. Maybe you're an illegal firearm because you live in Canada and you're not really supposed to have guns, but you keep gun in there too. You know, you got your steak, your gun, your cash. It all just goes in there and you lock it down. Because people are going to be stealing your fridge. End times are coming, folks. I'm just saying, you know, the muggings on the street are probably going to be different now. No, they don't want your wallet. They're not going to be like, we don't want your worthless Canadian dollars. Do you have a couple fillets in your pocket? Give me some, I want some food. You got any snacks? And you're like, damn it. We left the house and the wife's being like, I told you to bring some snacks in case we get mugged. And then you give them the snacks and then they go away. She's like, do you want my watch? And they're like, I can't sell that. Nobody's got money to buy that. I need some snacks. I need some food. Give me some food. They're going to be stealing your fridge, guys. Just saying, lock it down. Lock the fridge down. Yeah, my dad, he like I said, he grew up on a farm. He was always trying to teach me things, and I just wasn't listening. And I don't want to eat the rich. I honestly, guys, a little while ago, about a week ago, I fell on the ice. I really hurt my leg. I mean, I'm not going to get up here and do jumping jacks right now. It's easy to be like, if your legs hurt, podcasting's not that hard. It's not a physical thing. I'm not doing a fitness YouTube channel. I'm just sitting here anyway. So you have to take my word for it. You can't see my leg right now. It's not great. It's gotten better. I can walk now, but like I can't. Yeah, there's certain things I can't do with it right now. It's her. I didn't know what happened to it. I went in and I sat in the ER for 7.5 hours and I didn't get in. Shout out Susan Holt. You're doing a great job with the province. I didn't get in. I sat there for 7.5 hours. And when you sit in an ER waiting room, you see a whole range of people. Now, mind you, there was a lot of people in that ER that needed medical attention. Like an old lady came in, she had her back of her head split open. She waited for like 45 minutes before they took her in. She needed like care right now. There was a couple parents there, their kids fell on the playground. There was another guy there that same exact thing as me. He slipped on the ice and hurt his leg. It was broken. He did get in. I didn't get in. I'm a robust guy. I don't think I was playing it up. I wasn't exaggerating my pain. I was just being honest. Like they're asking like on a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm thinking of like a 10 where I'm like, geez, the worst pain that I've ever felt. This is a 6, maybe a 6 or 7. When I say it's a 6 or 7, that really does hurt. It's just maybe somebody else is like, oh, I got a little boo-boo. Oh, that's a 9, but it's not really a 9 to me. That would be like a 4. But anyway, so they didn't deem me necessarily. There was like a 1 to 5 level of like how hurt you are, and they put me as a 4, which is like near the bottom. So like every person that was coming in that they had as a 3 or a 2 or 1 was immediately ahead of the line in me. And at about 7 hours, I went up and asked the woman, I was like, am I going to get in at all? And she was like, well, there's about 7 people, 6, 7 people in front of you right now. And if anybody comes in that is a 3 or higher, then they're gonna bump you in the line. And she kind of was just beating around the bush, basically being like, you're probably not gonna get in, because they were having ambulances coming in and real people needed medical attention. I didn't want like to go ahead of like the kid that may have a concussion or like any of the people that really need help. But I wanted to have my leg looked at. Like I work for a living. This podcast isn't paying the bills, and I need to be able to walk. And at the time I couldn't walk. I limped into the ER. I was there for 7.5 hours and I limped out. Anyway, so the time that I was there, a lot of people needed medical attention, but there was a lot of people in there, not a doctor. I'm not being Mr. Joe Rogan here at all. I'm just saying from my evaluation, I was a lifeguard for one. So, I mean, I have a little, I'm a bit above, your average Joe as far as like assessing someone's need for care. But there was a lot of people in there that I'm like, why are you even here? They should be at a clinic making an appointment with like a doctor. Probably don't have a doctor. This is New Brunswick, but like a walk-in clinic or something. And then there's some people in there is just like, you don't even need to go to a walk-in clinic. You're just poor and stupid. Like there was one woman that came in there. She was there I was in there, and then she was there like 30 minutes after me, and she walked in fat as all hell with like a cane. She's complaining about like her back being sore. Well, I'm like, you're really fat, right? Your back would be sore. You're carrying a lot of weight. But she walked in with the McDonald's coffee and like these breakfast sandwiches. So I'm like, it's not that much. It's an emergency room. It's not an emergency if you can stop in the McDonald's drive-thru on the way to the emergency room. But she's there the whole time. She's bitching. She tells every person her story while we're in there, trying to make them feel like she was trying to like guilt people into leaving so she could get in to like look at her back or something. And it's just like, I almost wanted to tell the nurses there, be like, let me take this. I'll clear half of this room out and just go to me like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, okay. Well, maybe you should not be poor and stupid about some of the things you're doing. Like you walked in here with the McDonald's sandwich. If you cut those out a little bit, eat a little less, walk a little more, you might not have these issues. And that's what a lot of it was just, a lot of people coming in that like, I think had like a flu or something like that. And are just like, I'm sick. And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know, go take some vitamin D and like, don't drink a bunch of milk or something. I don't know. But you see a lot of people when you go into these ER waiting rooms. All right. And when you're in there long enough, the more you're in there, you're like, I don't want to eat the rich. I want to join the rich. I don't want to be in a bread line with the people that are sitting there just scrolling on their phones. Like there were people in there that I don't think they've ever heard of a headphone. Like it's embarrassing enough to be scrolling in public. And this is like, I think, a world war could really correct this for us. Like the scrolling in public, like watching reels, it's like, it's just like, it's almost like the modern equivalent of like picking your nose or biting your nails in public. It's just obnoxious. And then when they don't have headphones on and they're just playing this reel, and it's not like they're scrolling through reels, they're actually just like watching the same one over and over and over again. And you just like, just shut the fuck up. If I hear Ryan Reynolds' voice one more time talking about this stupid donut that he's not even going to eat, like the guy's not even eating this donut. Stop watching Ryan Reynolds talk to you about these donuts. This is why I need a producer, because I'm technically pissed right now. Literally, I'm pissed off from the technical crap of this. It's fine. Waiting in a hospital, I don't know what's this is I'll deal with this more than I'll sit in a waiting room. I'm never going to the hospital again unless the bone is like shoved out of my leg. I'm lucky after like 4 or 5 days, actually, like I started to be able to walk on it, like I can move it, I can flex it. It's just there's like a pain in there. I think I strained something. I fell and like my knee, like it felt like it went that way. Like when I was laying on the ice, I swear I thought my knee was like dislocated or was broken or something, but it's fine now. It's good. It's good. I'm going to calm down, guys. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to be chill for the rest of this, okay? I'm going to be chill. We're in the vibe now. 16 minutes into the show, it'll be better. Little nicotine, slow it down. Slow it down. Yeah, I was driving the other day. It was early morning. I had to go get gas before I went to work, and then I got the gas and realized that I forgot some like tools that I needed for that job that day, so I had to go back and get them. And on my way to getting gas, I saw a woman that had wrecked her car. I don't know exactly what happened. The road wasn't icy. I don't know what happened. She drove, like it was a T on the road, and she drove through. She must have went through the stop sign, and she went up onto the curb and into a telephone pole, wrecked her little Nissan Sentra, and it was one of those things like I probably would have stopped because she was already out of the car and stuff. I would have stopped maybe and been like, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" Like calling somebody. But there was already a dude there talking with her. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's off of me now. I don't have to stop. It's good. Maybe I wouldn't have anyways, but you know, I'd like to think that I would have. But I didn't think anything of it. I just drove by and I was like, oh, okay, somebody's looking after her. She's fine. And then, like I said, I had to go back home because I forgot some tools. And when I was going back home, there was a school bus that was like, you know, a quarter of a block down and stopped. So there was a little bit of a line. So I was stopped right by there. She's still there. She's still standing outside of her car. Same guy there. And I'll give you a little bit more of a description. You know, I said it was a Nissan Sentra. Some of you might have jumped to conclusions already, and I don't want to validate your racist automobile opinions. But yeah, she was a very, very African woman, very African fit. She's not going into the hospital with a McDonald's sandwich. She looked like a healthy person. She looked like she, you know, maybe she doesn't exercise, but she doesn't like overindulge in food. So that was a plus. I'm glad she came to this country. You're thinking, oh, you're just assuming that she just came to this country. No, there was other characteristics about her. You could tell that she immigrated here, and you know, maybe this was her first car here, and she's like, fuck, what did I just do? Anyways, the dude's there talking with her, and I could tell that he was annoying. Now, so I painted the picture. I've painted the picture of her, nice, slim, very, very African woman, and then white or black African. And I know Elon Musk is African, but black, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, so she's there, and this dude's there, and he's like Fred Penner, like older though. I don't know how Fred is he even still alive, Fred Penner? But when I remember Fred Penner, he had like the brown beard, but think of Fred Penner with like a white beard. So that's what he looked like, but he wasn't there singing a song. He was just there like talking to her, and he had the look that he was just repeating the same things over and over again, like telling her how she should drive in the snow, and she's there, and I could tell that she was kind of annoyed by this guy, but she's like way too polite to say anything, so she's just there like kind of putting up with it until the tow truck comes. And I could see the look on her face that it was also like this moment of like, shit, what did I just do? Like her car is wrecked. They're not fixing this car. This is a write-off. The airbags didn't deploy, but the whole front end was destroyed. Maybe the airbags didn't work because they should have went off, but they weren't off. Whole front end's destroyed. Car is like into a pole. So you could tell that obviously she's disappointed in herself. Any of you, like, if you've ever wrecked a car, there's the initial shock moment, and then there's like, oh shit, what did I do? Oh no. Like one minute you're texting and driving, the next minute you're in a pole and now your car is destroyed. You're gonna have to get a car. Oh my god, my insurance is gonna go up. Like there's all of that on her. But then the other side of it is, I think she was more annoyed with him than she was of that. Like she's like, I could be fine with this, but you were just talking all the time. You don't shut up. You're just yakking and yakking and yakking. I've already wrecked my car. You're not doing anything. The tow truck's obviously on the way, or maybe there wasn't a tow truck coming and she was just standing there like doesn't know what to do, but he wasn't helping the situation. And I get that now, like, we're in that part of the 21st century where we don't want to talk to people, like unsolicited conversations. They're just not a thing. You don't want you don't want to be called anymore. There's people that I know that I can call them and it's appropriate, and there's people I know that no matter what, you just can't call this person. You have to text them and say, hey, can I call you? And even if like they text back and say, yeah, no, it's cool if you call me, you gave them the pre-load of that call, versus if you just called them, even though they would be okay with receiving a call, they don't want to receive just a call because they don't know what's going to happen. They need to be pre-warned. They need to be set up for this call. And that's not the way that it always was. Like the past month or so, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 4. You might notice my upload schedule hasn't been great, and I'd love to tell you it's because I'm trying to get this technical stuff worked out. I'm doing a bunch of shows. No, I've literally been like at home eating chicken, playing Grand Theft Auto 4. It's great Grand Theft Auto. I loved that when I was younger. I liked Grand Theft Auto 4. I never beat the game, so now I've beat the game and I'm playing the expansion modes. But for anybody who hasn't played Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 4 was released in like 2008, and it was set in that time. I think it was supposed to be set in like 2009, so it was supposed to be set in the future from 2008, but just pretend it's 2008. That's what the game is like. You have a cell phone in the game, and other characters in the game, they'll call you, like you'll be doing your missions and stuff like that, and then any dead time, your phone will just randomly ring, and it'll be like, Nico, it's your cousin, you want to go play pool? And you go and do those things. And there's times that I'll be playing the game, and I'll be like doing the missions, trying to collect stuff, trying to do something, get away from the cops. And then there he goes. Nico's cousin's calling. He wants to go play pool. You want to go to the strip club, something, right? And there's the 2020s me being like, oh damn, he's calling. And if you don't answer the call, you get like a thumbs down from them, where like you want to have like and respect from the people in the game. There's a whole thing in the game where like if your friends like you, they have abilities that they can give to you. Like if your cousin likes you, you can use his cab company for free. It's life. Anyway, so there was a moment where I'm playing that and I'm like, I remember that in 2008. Like I remember you just call a friend. It's like, hey, what's up? And they'd answer the call, and they wouldn't be like annoyed with you the fact that they called him, because they're like, I have a phone, you have a phone, I like you, so that's just normal. Yeah, you call me, and if I can't talk, I'll tell you that I can't talk, but I'm not gonna be like weird and ignore the call and send you this text, especially because back then it was like T9, so your texting is like, why are you calling me? Like it would just be annoying, right? So you just pick up the phone, just talk to these people. It just brought me back to that like, I think golden era for me. And I don't want to sound like I'm getting older now. And I'm just like, yeah, my time when I was a teenager going into my 20s was great. But 2008 was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Like the Chevy Cobalt was like a decent car. You weren't like ghetto for having it. You were just like, you didn't have an Acura, but Chevy Cobalt, no, it's great. There's a little aux cable. You can put some music in there. Some of them came with good stereos. It was good. Your friends and your coworkers they'd respect you for getting Subway for lunch. It wasn't like how it is now. In 2008, if you got Subway, that was a good, like I didn't go to Wendy's. I didn't go to McDonald's. I went to Subway. Wow. I'm eating fresh, right? We were just naive then. We didn't know the chicken was made of rubber glue. It was a great time. And like, if you had weed in 2008, it was cool because like you had it. You couldn't just get it. You had to pay for 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 You couldn't just get it. You had to know somebody. You had to get it. The guy that you know, maybe he doesn't have it. So when you have weed, like if you're with your friends and they're like, oh man, I just wrapped my car around the pole because I was trying to text with T9 and it's really hard to text with T9. So I just wrapped the car around the pole and you're just there and you're just like, man, I got some weed. And then it's better, right? Things that it meant something. I love 2008. So Grand Theft Auto's like bringing me back to I think that simpler time that like in the game too, like you have to use a computer to like email people and do certain missions. But it was like it was still then when it was the physical computer. Like you would go and you'd log onto the PC like boop 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 and you'd send the email, message the friend on Facebook, hey, yeah, I will meet you here at this location. Oh, do you need directions? Because we didn't just have a GPS in our pockets. Be like, yeah, no, you know that blue house there on the corner? Yeah, you go there and you get the directions and you go and you meet them. And just meeting the person would be like an accomplishment. Like I looked at the street signs and I found my way there. There was a beauty to it. And then you'd leave the PC. Like the Facebook wasn't in your pocket. There wasn't all these things there. Like if you were away from that and if the person didn't have your phone number, you're just free in the world. You're making friends at a bar. And then it was like, hey, add me on Facebook. It was like, oh, okay, I don't have Facebook. Oh, you should make a Facebook. God forbid. You shouldn't have made it, but you did. And that's what happens. I know I'm romanticizing the time. You're calling your friends. You're doing stuff. I'm saying about having the weed. It's been a year now since I stopped with the pot. I'm proud of myself. Yay! If I had a studio audience, they'd be like, yay! Clapping, because we all know weed sucks. It does. Come on. Like once you're 30, pods, like, come on, it's getting old. Even I know if you're watching this and you smoke weed, you can understand that you're like, yeah, it's old. It doesn't feel as thrilling. It doesn't feel as fun as it used to. And I'm being reminded of this now where Nova Scotia and New Brunswick right now, they're really cracking down on these native weed shops. Yeah, they're going to town, and I'm not taking a side on this. I'm just going to be neutral, which is a side. There's part of me that I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't agree with the police going into the shops, but then I'm also on the other side of it, I'm like, okay, but they're not like raiding like a knitting shop. They're not going in and like burning down your knitting or your Dreamcatcher store or something like that, right? Like it is a weed store. You're selling pot illegally. I don't care. I'm not I am kind of an anarchist, but yeah, like I'm in the middle because I know there's a lot of people that are really upset at it right now. They're like the government coming in, blah, and I'm all for that. Like, screw the government, man. And then the other side where I'm being like, okay, but I mean, you're running a weed shop and you're selling illegal cigarettes. I mean, you gotta, like when your friend got busted for selling weed in 2008. You felt bad for him, but the other side of it, you're like, well, I mean, you were selling weed, right? Like that's kind of the game that you play. It gives it a little bit of a thrill. It's a little fun, Otherwise, it's just a given, But it's hard to be in the middle there because nobody's gonna like what you're saying because a lot of people are on the side of that. And let's be real here: weed is not medicine for 99% of you people. I know we want to chalk it up as medicine. I see a lot of these posts where like people are like, you're shutting down the shop. This is my medicine. I'm like, is it your medicine though? Like I know there's going to be some like naive white woman that's going to walk into a weed dispensary native store because it'll say like native medicine shop and she's like all whimsical and she's walking in there and she's like, I have pain. And the guy's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I don't know, but I have pain. What do you recommend, wise native man? And he's like, well, do you want I got the gummies. I got the gummy bears or the gummy blocks. Okay. I mean, it's not medicine. You're just getting high. The woman that I was talking about that came into the ER with the McDonald's and the coffee, that's what she was going on about half the time. She's like, oh, if I knew I was going to wait this long, I would have taken a couple of my gummies. I would have felt better with my gummies. Like the gummies. Okay, I get it. The gummies. I went on a gummy binge in 2017, all right? But just chill it with the gummies. Oh, yes, the gummies, yeah. I wish that the weed shops, they could operate but at the same time, I wish that like maybe people could lay off of the weed a little bit because it's getting a little old. Like, I live in Fredericton. I live near the reserve there, and driving through there, it looks like a Vegas kind of like light up show where there's just weed stores everywhere, and it just has a vibe to it that's like, if you're an adult, you don't have any kids. I'm not relating to you right now. You're not getting what I'm saying. But if you're a parent and you have kids, it's just not the thing that you want. You know what I mean? Like there's a red light district in like a big city. You don't bike with your kids through there, but these like shops, they're in like these communities, and I feel for those families that live there, that maybe they have kids and they don't want their kid to be a part of that culture, but it's just like their neighbors like, well, I started a weed shop. Now there's a weed shop here, there's a weed shop there. There's like 40 weed shops in this place, and they're just big billboards, ounces for this, blunts for that, and like I'm getting old. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just getting old. It's fine. This my mic stand. I got stuff on order here. I got another one of these coming, so I can do more interviews. More people watch the interviews. I get it. It is what it is. I say that a lot. But I got arms that are gonna mount to the desk for these. So I'm using my old mic stand right now, and it's just like as soon as I bolted this big heavy thing on, it was like, no, I cannot handle this right now. I'm just this poor, stupid mic stand that is not made for the weight of real life. Okay, so, yes, back to the point. Like I said, my dad, he grew up on a farm in the 50s. Pile of brothers and sisters. They didn't have a lot of money. So they made what they could, right? They had gardens, they'd have like some livestock, some chickens, they'd have stuff because that's what you did back in the day. And he, when I was younger, really tried to instill those things into me. Like we fixed our own cars, we made our own things, like some of it would be annoying to me because there'd be times that like I'd have something on my truck broken and I just want to, it'd be like a bolt or something, and I'm just going to cut this bolt off because another bolt's like $1, whatever. And then he'd be like, no, 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 let's spend an hour trying to get this bolt out, because he was like in this saving mentality of like, no, 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 we're not buying nothing. We're not putting we're going to work on this for an hour for some, like, even at McDonald's at that time, I was making $8 an hour. So spending an hour on a bolt was just a waste of time. And most people think that way. But he was very much trying to instill this cheap, do everything yourself mindset that, it has its faults. No way one or the other is the best. You want to be in the middle somewhere, like I am with the weed shops, but nobody's going to agree with me on that, I don't think. But he tried to teach me those ways, and I wholeheartedly rejected them. I truly believed that I was just like, no, no, no. I'm going to make more money and not do any of this stuff. I got into like selling insurance. I sold cars. I was in the marijuana business for a while. So when I'm talking about the weed shop stuff, that's where I'm coming from on that. Before Justin Trudeau came in and took over that business, where there was some people supplying you that stuff. Me showing up in my little pickup truck to sell you an ounce of weed. And I was doing anything that I could to like not be in that. I wanted to be able to take my car to a shop, get a professional mechanic to work on it so I could focus on doing my other things. And I rejected that. But like I know inside my soul that I came from that. I came from families, both my mother's side and my father's side, of people that didn't have a lot of money. They were normal people, that they had normal jobs, and I was like trying to reject that. Like if I did my 23andMe, like if I got on here and did 23andMe, it would come up, be like, you come from poor genes. You come from people with not a lot of money, so you need to make do. I go 23andMe and it's just like, you're screwed, man. There's no inheritance coming to save you. If you don't make it yourself, you're not going to have it. And so my dad was always like, I'm going to do this. I got to do this work. We're going to make do. My mom, she was always trying to like find like shortcuts for things. She had a good job nursing, but she was always like starting a business. She was always trying to do something, but she didn't like put a lot of hard effort into those things. So she never broke out of that. Like I remember being at home and like the bills would be like kind of stacking up there, a big sheet of them. And she'd just be sitting there watching like Oprah Winfrey and Crossing Over with John Edwards. Shout out, Crossing Over with John Edwards, talking to the dead. She's sitting there and be like, maybe I could talk to the dead. I don't know. watching Dr. Phil, and then like diagnosing me with shit every week. It was like a new thing that maybe I have that like I could get like a check for from the government because I've got severe ADHD or whatever. Maybe I do. I probably do. But she's always there diagnosing me, and then the bills are like stacking up. And then like she'd still trying to find a way out of it. She'd see me playing with my Legos and building something. I'd be like, Mom, look what I built. She's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. You could be an engineer. You could be an engineer. Engineers make a lot of money. I don't have a retirement plan, Jeremy. You should become an engineer, and then you could help me be okay. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just playing with Legos. And like, it wouldn't be like even like a great thing out of Legos. It'd be kind of like, oh, whatever. I know there's some Asian kid there that was building like crazy Legos, and I'm just building like this little spaceship out of Legos. I'd watch Law and Order, and she'd be like, maybe you could be a lawyer. You like the law, and I'm watching like SVU, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I could bust the rapist or something. That would be cool. I don't know. I get in trouble in school for like running my mouth because like I'd watch the Law and Order, and she's like, you could be a lawyer. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then I'd argue with my teachers and always have to have the last word until I'm kicked out of school, suspended, in school suspension. In school suspensions were fun. They'd basically stick you in a little room, nothing on the walls, just a table, and you'd leave kind of like a torture victim at the end of the day, like, oh, don't put me in that room again. Oh my God. But I get sent home for like running my mouth off at school, and she'd be like, maybe you'd be a comedian. Maybe, Mom. I don't know. But always finding something. Always finding something. The amount of times, like, my mom had caller ID. Not everybody had caller ID then, but my mom had caller ID. And the amount of times that PNB came up on her phone, unknown number, PNB, province of New Brunswick. That was what would come up when the school was calling. God, I think the thing that took because it was normal by the time that I was in like grade 7 that she'd get calls that I got into a fight, I said a bad word, I wasn't listening. I made a mess, something like that. Like those were just standard calls. But the thing that really took the cake is when my mom got called from the school and they told her that I had brought a pornographic magazine to school one day. It is what it is. I'll fess up to it. Yeah, I did. In grade 7, I brought a Playboy magazine, vintage. I'm just not minimalizing is you don't do that. If there's kids watching it, don't like your dad doesn't even have porno mags anyways anymore. It's the new age. It's the 21st century. We don't have those anymore. My dad was old and he just had those. But yeah, I brought a vintage Playboy magazine to school. It was from like 1973. It was in really good condition. Like it was in like mint condition. And I brought it to school because like the day before school, me and my friends in the cafeteria were talking about, our dad's magazines. And I'm like, my dad's got a vintage, beautiful, like I'm like an Italian connoisseur being like, it's beautiful. It's in mint condition. You can't beat it. Like Donald Trump, it's a beautiful magazine, everybody. It's beautiful. You wouldn't believe it. There's no creases in it, no cum stains. It looks amazing. So I bring the magazine to school the next day to prove this. Why? Because I'm in grade 7 and like we prove things. We had to, and I got caught with it because the kid that I went to school with, who ended up being gay, so I don't know, maybe he was insulted by the magazine, but he snitched me out to the principal, and I was just sitting in class, minding my business, got my magazine in my backpack, and the principal and one of the other teachers comes to the door and asks to see me. Like, they didn't even call over the microphone because they're like, if he even suspects we've caught him, he'll dispose of this. We're catching him. So the principal and one of the teachers, they come to the door of my classroom and ask me to come with them, bring my backpack. This little snitch told them it was in my backpack, so they called. Anyway, so they bring me down to the office, go through my backpack. I didn't know my rights at that point. So what I'm in grade 7. I'm not going to grab my backpack and run out of the school. So they find the magazine, and I got suspended. And for the rest of my time in middle school, when I went to high school, I ended up going to a different school area. I didn't go to the same high school as all the people that I went to middle school with. But for the rest of middle school, I was known outside of like my friend group. Everybody then knew me as the guy that brought a porno magazine to school. And I'd be like, I wasn't like that. I'd try to play it down, but that's the thing that's stuck on me for the rest of middle school. The guy that brought the porno mag to school, and I thought it was kind of unfair. People just jumped to conclusions. Like they thought I was some kind of pervert. I thought I was being a historian. Those 70s Playboys, they weren't like the 80s penthouses where the woman's like spread eagle and she got this big hairy bush. Like no, like the magazine was like girls in like jeans with their boobs out and like in an artsy photo with like a garden in the background or something. It was like hippie chicks with their nice supple breasts out. It was a beautiful thing. I was an art. Like if I would have been in like California, they would have been like, this kid has potential for art. He sees art, because that's what it was. It was an artful magazine, and they didn't see it as that way. I was lucky that the principal at the school at that time, he was a male. I know a female principal would have came down a little harder on me. Not like in not like in the 80s magazines, not like coming down on me like that, but like come down like I'm in trouble. The male principal, I know he was like, okay, you can't do this. Obviously, he wasn't like, good job, buddy, give me props. But I know now as an adult, I know that there was part of him. He was like, all right, I gotta punish him, but we're not gonna like suspend him for a day. We're not kicking him out of school. You know what I mean? We're not gonna make a big deal out of this, because from his perspective, most of the kids that I was in school with were playing with like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and these little Beyblade things, these little spinner things. Be like, I gotta spin in my thing, and they're just playing with stupid stuff, childish stuff. They're like a couple years out of high school and they're playing with Pokemon cards. And then he sees Jeremy there with the porno magazine. He's just like, there's hope for some of them, I guess. He knew I was gonna grow up to be some kind of man, not a pervert, hopefully, but knew I was gonna make my way. I was gonna find my way. That's what it is. I gotta find my own way, and I know it's not gonna be like my dad's way. I'm not, now the food prices are going up. I'm not gonna start a garden this summer. I should, but I'm not gonna like start gardening and killing chickens and stuff like that. I'll have to make more money. I gotta find a way to make more cash. I spend money on this stuff and then I don't know how to use it, but I'll find a way. Struggling to sell tickets to my show that's coming up on Saturday. I'm doing my first big headline show at Comic Sutra in Fredericton. I'm headlining. I'm the headliner. I'm the main act. I know right now, I think there's like, there's under 10 tickets sold. I mean, it's not the end of the week yet. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the week. So I'm sure some of them will pick up soon. And then if they don't, like, I was honestly having like a mental breakdown on Sunday, being like, oh my God, if these tickets don't sell, am I a failure? What am I going to do? But I just got to find my own way. I got to find my own way, and I'm hoping that it comes through. So if you're watching this right now and you haven't got tickets to that, you're in the area, come see it. I've been working hard for 3 years to form this act. I've literally slept outside on Grand Manan Island. I've performed in taco restaurants and hotels and barbershops. I've been all over New Brunswick. I've been down in Nova Scotia a couple times. I've worked really hard to hone this act in. I truly believe I don't waste the audience time by just going up and just spitballing stuff. When I go to open mics, I definitely am trying things, but when those things work, I'm getting them down in the book and being like, that works, that needs work. And this act that I'm about to deliver Saturday night is beautiful. It's an hour long. It's going to be great. There's some great openers on the show as well. Adam Blanchard, good friend. He's hosting the show. And Nisa Kennedy, she's a local here. She's new to the comedy scene, but she's funny. I know she's got some friends probably coming to the show, hopefully, and it'll be a good time. So if you haven't got tickets yet, get your tickets for that. I'm going to keep working on the show. I'm going to go home. I'm going to bring this mic into the apartment and try to get this worked on, get the sound better, because I want this to sound good. Like this mic, it's an SM7B. If you got advice, throw them into the comments. But, I know I got to EQ it. I got to get these sounds, because this thing can sound really good. This is a radio quality mic. It can sound a lot better. And there's people out there that are no shortage of giving me advice on what to do. I know the channel, where I'm over 1,000 views now. This is episode 23 videos. It hasn't even been a year yet. I want to have them weekly, but it's just, stuff happens, right? Playing Grand Theft Auto, doing what I can do. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm in for the short form. I know that's the key right now. Like when I see people, like there's some local guys that live here in Fredericton. They get lots of views on videos, and they do all these short form videos. And I don't know if that's my vibe. I don't like shorts. I don't like how I feel when I watch shorts, and I don't want to do that to you. I respect you too much. Now, saying this, next week, probably a short coming out. So, but I need to I need to pay the bill somehow besides like wrenching and working in the cold. I want to go to Mexico. But I don't like the shorts. I'm not a fan of the shorts. I don't like what it's doing to society. I don't like uploading a 23-second video and then putting in the caption in big bold letters, "Watch till the end, guys. You got to watch it till the very end," like it's 23 seconds. I'm uploading these videos and they're like 45, 50 minutes long. So I've had interviews that went for an hour and a half. Watch those till the end. Okay? Not a 23-second video. Please watch it to the end, guys. I know you have 6 hours of screen time you're averaging every day. Please watch my 23-second video right to the end. Please finish my 23-second video, guys. You've made it for 45 minutes with me. This is fun. I'm glad the show's still moving. I'm going to tone down on the Grand Theft Auto. I already beat Grand Theft Auto 4. I've beat Grand Theft Auto 5 multiple times. I just wanted to go back and finish Grand Theft Auto 4. That was the only Grand Theft Auto that I didn't beat besides the first two that I'm never going to play. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out in November. I don't know what I'm going to do then. I might even be in a war by then anyways. We might not even get Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and in that time, I had a kid. I changed careers like 5 or 6 times. I started stand-up comedy. I'm headlining my first comedy show before we got Grand Theft Auto 6. We might be full-fledged World War III before we get Grand Theft Auto 6. But I hope in November I get to play Grand Theft Auto 6. But I promise I will not take 3 weeks off of this show to play Grand Theft Auto 6. I will find the time to keep this weekly. You guys are great. I'm going to do what I can to get the show to as many faces as I can. When I was in ER with the leg, they put on the TV and they were playing like children's shows, which I tuned in. I was watching this. I was learning things about turtles. It was great. But part of me was just like, oh, if I could hijack that TV right now, like remotely, like the digital hacker people would do in like the Spy Kids movies, and just like let these people watch my podcast. I had a mask on in the ER, which you're supposed to now again. It's fun. We're going back to that. But I had my mask on, so they wouldn't even have known that it was me on the podcast. They would just been like, oh, what's this? The Jeremy Scott program. And they would have been watching that. It would have been good. I notice in the hospitals too, they don't put the radio on. They don't put music on. Because I know lyrics to music and then people waiting that long and not getting any medical care, it's not going to be great. I think the last thing that they want is for the trues, "I'm tired of waiting," coming on, and people like get pissed. They're like, "I am tired of waiting," and they start like rioting, doing what they can do. All right, you guys have been great. I'm sounding off. It's getting cold in here now, and I got to get this mic tuned up. Cheers.